Hello, my name is Justin Kings. I am the trainer in social media at the Eurovision Academy, and in this short video I'm going to introduce some of the principles of social media and radio. So what does social media and radio have in common? Well, I can summarise it in one word: people. People are clearly at the heart of social media. Without people there would be no social media. But I would say that people are also at the heart of great radio, from the presenters that listeners have a one-to-one relationship with, obviously, and the stories that are told on radio, whether they are factual or whether they are fictional. So we've got people at the heart of both. Let's break it down a little bit further. I think there are three things that radio has that attracted me initially. The intimacy of radio, how radio can be there when you wake up, it can follow you into the shower, down to breakfast and in the car. The immediacy of radio, if you need to break the news. Unlike TV, you don't need lights, you don't need makeup, you don't need to get the studio ready. You can just fade down the music, turn up the microphone and speak. It is the most immediate of the broadcast medium. And also the interactivity. Now, I often say that radio was the first social media, whether that be requests, dedications, open days at radio stations. So you've got these three I's, the three I's of radio: intimacy, immediacy, and interactivity. Then along comes social media. It is intimate. You set up a Facebook page, you have a group of friends, you talk to them, you share photographs with them, etc. It is immediate. I could see something out of the window now, take a picture with my smartphone, and within seconds I can share that with the rest of the world on Twitter. And clearly it's interactive. So a lot of the things that radio held exclusively, social media also possesses. Now, you can feel threatened by that if you work in radio, or you can embrace it and see it as something that's really positive, which is what I do. Because if you have radio and social media working together, you can get all that great stuff, the intimacy, the immediacy, the interactivity, to the power of two, can be multiplied. So if you want to start to use social media in radio, the first thing to do, you need to sit down and ask yourself some important questions. So here's a checklist for you. Key question: why do you want to use social media? What are your objectives? What are your aims? Do you want to engage with your listener in a new way? Do you want to expose a new audience to some of your content? Do you want to open a conversation with your listeners? There could be a myriad of reasons why you want to use social media. Once you know why, which of the platforms are most suitable for you to use? We are now finding there are emerging platforms that are growing quite rapidly, like Pinterest, which appeals largely to a female audience. Tumblr, the blogging site, has a sizable youth audience. So you have to keep these things into consideration. And if you think about the big two, Facebook is very popular for sharing photographs and for opening conversations, whereas Twitter is far more of an alert system. Think of it as the world's biggest tech service. So for breaking news or for alerting people about what's on the radio right now, this would be one of the best platforms to use. So you know what platforms you're going to use, but what content are you going to place on there? They are just platforms. They need the compelling content. And to go one step further, how's that content on social media going to relate to what you're doing on the radio? Because the best social media content doesn't sit in isolation. It works with the broadcast. So if you're listening on the radio, that experience would be enhanced by going to the Facebook page or going to the blog or whatever platform it might be. And vice versa. If you're sitting without the radio on, but seeing something on the radio station's Facebook page, how can you be enticed or persuaded to switch on the radio? Next question: who is managing, who is updating your pages? Very practical, but Clearly very important to know this. And do they need any training? The kind of training that we offer at the Eurovision Academy. Final question. Hopefully you know what you're setting out to achieve. So how are you going to check that you have fulfilled your objectives? What measurements are you going to take? So a checklist of some of the key questions that I think you need to ask and you need to answer as you use social media on radio. And should you need training for your journalists, your producers, your editors, the Eurovision Academy would be happy to talk to you, whether it's our masterclasses, which we hold in Geneva, on subjects ranging from social media and radio programs, social media and social media strategy, to bespoke workshops, visiting you at your broadcaster. If you go to the Eurovision Academy pages on the EBU website, you'll find all the details of how you can get in contact with us. And thank you for listening.